Hello everyone, I am Aarna Singh Rautela and you're watching me on City News. Today we have with us in our studio a famous EQ practitioner, Miss Shekha Naik. Welcome ma'am.
Thank you, Anna, for having me here with you today.
Ma'am, I would like to ask you, how does a toxic environment influence a child's entire social life?
A toxic environment in a child's life does not only impact the social life, it affects all parts of life, like career, like relationship, and like the complete emotional quotient of a child.
Yes. So ma'am, as you said, it affects their emotional quotient. How does this emotional quotient reflect in their social life?
So now, if a child is witnessing any kind of conflict in the house with the parent, what happens is that you can consider a child walking on a eggshell, like eggshell walking, wherein a child while walking becomes very cautious. Very cautious when a child becomes, automatically the whole system changes in the body. Like when a child is trying to walk on the shell, automatically the muscles becomes careful, automatically the breathing process becomes very careful, the child's focus becomes very prompt and very stringent, just very stably focused, which gives lot of taxing and pressure to the whole nervous system.
Exactly.
So when we say the whole nervous system gets affected, it is because of the conflict which a child is watching in parent or in situation, which is very hazardous. It affects in the form of self-worth, love, fear, and safety. So a child needs self-worth, safety, and in absence of these two, the whole emotional quotient of a child changes.
Yes, ma'am. As you said that it affects their self-esteem as well. So this is observed that the child tends to carry a toxic guilt that the parents are fighting because of me. So has it been observed when you look at children our age?
Yes, yes, of course. Every single incident, right from 1 year of age, gets into the memory of a child. So when a child is a toddler or a small child and observes something going on with the parents, between the parents, it could be either in the form of loud voice, it could be either in the form of some situation which is making lot of movements. Also, it could be in a situation where a child or the parents are absolutely silent, not talking to each other or one another.
Yes.
In any situation, the child feels what is wrong and why it is happening. And most of the times, it has been observed that parents' conflict arises because of the child, for the child, or related to family members.
Yes.
So when it is related to family members, the child doesn't get that affected. The child is okay with it. But when things comes up to a child, the child feels like there is some kind of a issue happening because of me, and child gets into a guilt trip. And that guilt trip really makes a child slowly become feeling like they are accountable for that situation. And that accountability which a child takes makes him more miserable, vulnerable, and a child sometimes takes role of a parent,
Yes.
which is also called as triangulation, wherein a child feels that a child responsible to be, behaving like one of the parent,
Yes.
which is again, when he grows, gets into a guilt format and affects the child.
Exactly. And ma'am, as you said, that the child carries this toxic guilt throughout their childhood and maybe even their life. Does it reflect when you see a group of children? Can you identify that, okay, this child does carry a toxic guilt?
Yes, absolutely. If you see group of people, then how the child's nervous system got affected when a child was young. The nervous system got affected because of seeing the conflict in the parents. How it affects? It affects the nervous system in four forms.
All right.
First is, as we all know, fright, flight, freeze, and fawn.
All right.
So child goes into different adaptation mode for self-defensive mechanism. Sometimes the child, when sees the situation, they run away. They fly, like they run away. Some of the children don't respond, they freeze, they don't know what to do. And some of the children, they start to fight, become aggressive for no reasons, for every reasons they fight. And the fourth part, or the fourth type of child development is where a child starts to behave like a joker or fawning. Right? Becomes a people pleaser. So it is very easy if you see in your classroom also, or in your college, or anywhere in the circumstances around, that a child is a pleaser, individual pleaser. Like he starts to please, you know that there has been some kind of a trauma, and that is a self-defense a child has developed. If you see a child starts to fight for no reasons, and you feel like why it is a simple reason and why the child is fighting, then you know that the child has a self-defensive mechanism. And similarly, for the fright and the freeze, sometimes children don't respond because they don't know what to do. Because when they as a child, when they witness their parents behaving in a way, either in a silent way, not talking to one another, or having a big fight in a loud voice, the child becomes absolutely numb and they freeze. The same freeze goes into the brain in the memory, and it extends in all part of their life.
Yes. So, ma'am, as you said that they often tend to become rebel and the other four kinds that you stated. So, the particularly talking about the rebel phrase, people often associate it with the teenage. You don't see that a child revolting against their parents when they are 10 or 12, but it starts with that particular teen phase, as they call it. So, what is the reason that teenage brings such emotions?
So teenage is a very prominent part of life, because during that period is the hormone changes happening in the body.
Yes.
There are a lot of growth happening in the body. The glands are developing. The hormone secretion is happening. And when a child gets clipped in the mind because of some other situation with a child encounters, you can just imagine, just like if you see a tap water flowing,
Yes.
it is the tap water flowing, you can take tap as the gland. So when the gland gets choked, even if you open the tap, the water doesn't come out.
Yes.
That is, the hormones are affected and resulting into the whole nervous system getting affected. And in such children, you can see variation, like in being a rebel or being in isolation, preferring isolation, right?
Yes.
Sometimes this is the age where child indulges into some kind of drugs also.
Yes.
Some children gets into smoking. Most of the time, some of the boys gets into smoking because it's a self-defensive mechanism which they are just attaining and entertaining.
Yes.
Which is not okay, and parents should be vigilant about it.
Exactly. Parents should be vigilant about it. And, ma'am, as you said, they get into self-harming substances. So, how does these substances affect their early adulthood? That is the phase where they are going to college or becoming young working professionals.
So there are three major parts of life which get affected. One is the behavioral part of it. They
Yes.
don't have any control over the behavior. Second is the cognitive part of it. And third is the relationship. So what happens in the behavior, we know.
Yes.
But what happens in the cognitive is the whole career.
Yes.
Because it's the career perception, what they do, their interest area, their anxiety, depression, everything affects the cognitive perception. And all these cognitive perception things, which is getting mellowed down, affects the relationship part of it. So the child becomes either completely isolated or becomes very much into the community, too much into the community, skipping other things. So behavior which revolves around anxiety, depression, stress,
Yes.
right, anger, fear, cognition, wherein a child is unable to decide on which career to go, always keeps, similarizing, like, okay, no, I have to be that, but there's no decision making. So cognition affects the whole skill system in a child's body. The whole mental capability or the skill development gets halted. And then third part, which is very crucial, is the relationship part of it, where a child doesn't understand the importance of relation. how far I have to behave, what are the boundaries. The
Yes.
child doesn't understand all those things.
Yes. So, ma'am, all these three parts that you told of life, they are being influenced by just one toxic relationship between their parents. Can we say that this very idea is very eminent into the modern households?
Absolutely. These days, as most of the families are nuclear families, and we have seen that most of the children are independent. The
Yes.
parents make them independent, the parents are not available for the kids. So, vulnerability in the kids is more, and the kids or the children seek, you know, the support from the community or
Correct.
from the same friend circle who are of the same age, who
Yes.
are also struggling the same way. So none of them are actually helping each other. They're not able to support each other, but it gets doubled. The load gets doubled. That why it is happening, we have no solution, but then we like you and I like you and we like each other. That's the way. So that is not good, because what your peer can guide you and what your parents
Can guide.
gives you or guide you is totally different.
Yes.
But it is affecting more and more these days because parents' attention is more on giving materialistic life to children, more on providing luxury to children, and they have no time for the children, which is really affecting the childhood, and the developmental psychology is affected.
Exactly. And ma'am, as you said that they have this very idea of making the child independent from a young age. They do it with a certain expectation or a certain instinct. But somehow the idea that they had formed in their minds to make their child independent actually is not right.
Yes, absolutely, we can say that. Sometimes the parents are very particular. Some of the qualified parents are very particular. Like if a mother wants that my child should have a disciplined life and my child should be very alert. So what a mother will do it will set tasks that I want you to attempt these tasks at least 3 times in a week. So she's giving some kind of a skill to the child, the time management
Yes.
and a discipline. Such skill development is okay. But sometimes parents go out of the way demanding, go out for taekwondo also, go out for chess also, do this also, do that also. So lot of loads in a child's brain really taxes them, and the child becomes very heavy and very uncomfortable, and they lose interest in the main idea of being and what they are enjoying. That is very sad part.
Yes. So, as you said, that the parents tend to enforce a child into certain activities. Can we say that these activities or these desires are of that own parent hidden into their own mind since they were a kid?
Absolutely. It has been observed, and it is in data also, that the parents, 70% of the parents have their own, in their own mind, whatever they couldn't achieve in their life,
Yes.
in any format in career, they want to entrust all those things on the kids. They want it from the kid. They want their child to do everything what they haven't done. Supposingly, if they have not had milk in their lifetime,
Yes.
they will push their children for milk, irrespective of the fact that they don't even know that the milk might not be good for their children, but the child would puke and would vomit. But the parents keep pressure in every part of the child's life, which is not at all good.
Yes. So, ma'am, as you gave that example about milk, is there this certain kind of expectation, like you said, if a child was deprived of milk when they were a kid and then they grow up to be parents and they feed their child milk and all those luxuries, they tend to think that if we provide you the things that did we did not have back when we were a kid, then we have a certain right on you.
Yes, it is a very different psychology here in India, which is a trending, and it is a traditional way that every parent have expectations. They feel that if we have done something for you, it's a barter, you have to do something for us.
Yes.
But these days, children are more, into their own world. They really don't pay attention. And if a parent is looking out for a good bond between one another, if a mother or a father wants to have a better bond with the child, they have to release those expectations. If they keep and hook on their own desires on the kids, they will lose children's interest in them, and the child and parent relationship gets worsened, and slowly child becomes so independent and waits to be independent, irrespective of if a child is in 12th standard and a child knows that the father or the mother is very dominating, might be out of 10 children, 2 will feel like that I want to skip everything and run. So that child will start and work in a call center to earn money and have an independent life, a free life. He may not be realizing that how he's messing up with the career, but just because that child wants to be away from the parents, away from that domination, they take up a job which they just want to get rid of the family.
Yes.
And they realize it in the later part of the life. So here, definitely, in every part of life, a parent is responsible. Whether a child is becoming a rebel, whether a child is misbehaving, whether a child is argumentative with the parents, whether a child develops a habit of kleptomania, whether a child has a masturbation habit, any kind of stealing, eating sugar, eating lots of chocolate, which is causing because of stress. So any habit beta which is happening in a child's, if you observe in a child's behavior, it's definitely parents' role is very much into it, very much into it.
Yes. And as you said, that a parent's role is very much into it. Sometimes, as we discussed, the parents don't pay enough attention. But contrasting to it, there are some parents who tend to keep their child in a shell. And then when the child grows and they become a early professional, they don't tend to get out of that shell.
Yeah. So there are different types of parents, and we would pick one because everything is there and available. But let us pick like they are protective kind of parents.
Yes.
These parents are definitely very much there, and especially for Gen Z, we can see that the parents are more protective because digitalization is happening. Lots of things happening around, and the world is becoming very prominent. So the parents are over alert and they are becoming overprotective for their kids.
Yes.
They just imagine the situations. So being overprotective is making a child not utilize all his senses,
Yes.
right? So he either would choose a freeze mode, right?
Yes.
So we may not know the how a child's nervous system is reacting to it, which is not at all good because a child needs a free hand to experience all different kind of skills. And unless a child really gets into that state of experimenting with different skills, going out and taking risks in life, taking their own decisions, making their own decisions, negotiating over some part in small activities. If a mother allows a child, I'm standing here, go and get the fruits. If a parent allows, so child develops a negotiation skill. Child understands a lot of other things, which protective parents don't let their children do that. And definitely, such children, when they go for career or in college, they are very shy and introvert.
Yes.
Because they don't know how to experiment with the life, because they haven't, practically implemented certain skills in life, resulting into numbness.
Exactly. So, ma'am, considering all these kinds of parents and children and all the kinds of things that are happening in today's world, would you like to give our viewers one piece of advice that how they can implement it in their own life?
With respect to parents, I would say that parents have to be very understanding, very quiet, calm, patient while handling a child from 1 to 18 to 25 years of age, because any sense which gets unplugged in a child affects the life throughout. So the parents' first responsibility is to understand which sense works in a child. If a mother keeps screaming and if the audio is infected, the child will either ignore the instructions throughout the life or will become over emotional with few words.
Yes.
So similarly, these things goes for different senses. So parents have to be very careful, understanding the type of child, which sense is more active in a child. And for children, uh, definitely you cannot expect a child to be like, behaving like a grown up and adult. If a child is unable to understand because of the parental situations where parents have given a foggy brain to the child, it is responsibility of the parent to take counseling, to go for therapy sessions, to sit with the child and sit with the other party and help a child understand and and help understand how to help the child, so that the family lives happily ever after and the senses are developed properly. Because after all, throughout your life circle, what matters is your senses.
Yes.
You should know when to trip, you calm down your sense and alight your sense, right?
Yes. So, ma'am, we are very grateful to have you in our studio today. And I am personally very grateful to have this insightful conversation with you. And I hope that I keep learning.
Thank you, Anna, for having me here.